Module 5. Focus on the future, working with a strategic framework. This module provides a framework for developing and implementing a strategic plan for road policing and law enforcement and to build capacity in future law enforcement operations. Dr. Shuey will start Module 5.
So what we're going to do now is talk about strategic planning, and so that you can take back to your country a draft of a strategic plan. So strategic planning for your road safety is easy, but it just needs a step-by-step process. And you all should have strategic plan for your police organisations. If you're road safety based, you should have a land transport strategic plan. You should have a research strategic plan. You should have an education strategic plan that conforms to the National Road Safety Plan. Up here, National Road Safety Plan, and underneath here, the strategic plan for police. Targets, we use SMART objectives, and you may have heard of SMART, but I will go through the title of SMART objectives. We want to develop a framework for strategic planning to take back to your organisation. If you are senior level police, you can take it back and talk to your head commissioner. If you are no police involved, you can take it back and give to your police officers. They might say, no, we want to do our own. But this still is a good framework to follow. And we want to identify strategies for building the community relationship. So it's all about togetherness and achieving good goals. What's our road safety aim? If you want something different, that's fine. This is what my recommendation for your country would be: to reduce the incidence, that's the number of crashes, the severity, that's the crash severity, making sure people wear helmets, wear their seat belts, and the cost of road trauma in your community. So it doesn't matter what your objective is, but this is a good one. A lot of countries use this objective. So you have a common aim. It doesn't matter whether you're transport, police, whatever. We all want to save lives. You can have something simple just to save lives or just to save injuries. But this covers injuries, crashes and fatalities. So the barriers and the control measures. You have that from your discussion before. What are the barriers? What are the control measures? So you need to understand what they are. That's your basis for operation. Why can't we enforce 100%? Okay? If we know why we can't enforce it, we can then start to get some strategies to make it better. So you have that already from the program earlier. So some good practice principles do you want to follow? We look at these and I say these are all good, but you don't have to do that. You can say, yes, I'll do 1, 3, 5, 15. So first one, education and enforcement. Lock the two together. If you're thinking enforcement, think education. If you're thinking education, think enforcement. If you're thinking engineering, think enforcement and education. So you lock them all together. We're all working as a team. We effectively do the data analysis with AAA. Right? We acquire the information. We analyse the information. Acquire, to analyse, to achieve. And then we achieve. Simple. Instill a culture of safety. That's what we want our community to do, the right thing, to wear their seatbelts because it is safe. Right? Not because the police will give them a ticket, not because you wear your helmets, because it is safe. It is a safe factor. It's safe to wear a helmet. Okay, the deterrence theory that Mark was talking about before, general and specific deterrence. We want a general information across to the community. Right? Do not speed, do not drink and drive. If you do, what will happen? You will be caught and punished. But I'm giving you warning now. So you give the community all those warnings and you say, told you, we'll have police cars there, we'll book you, we'll give you tickets, we'll give you fines. So general deterrence, we change the focus and make it a safer community. Evidence-based, intelligent-led. We all want to work on evidence. Right? Why are you doing this? Because there are crashes here. Because the age group between 15 and 30, boys, men, they're the ones that are killing themselves. They're the ones that are drinking and driving. They're the ones that are speeding. This is why we're doing it, because the statistics tell us. So, okay, we want to look at that. We want to be outcome focused. Why are we doing enforcement in the first place? Because we want to save lives. We're not collecting money for the government. We're not interfering with people's right to travel around the community, their mobility. We want to make sure we're outcome focused. Every officer that gives a person a ticket should be able to put his hand on his heart and say, you are getting this ticket because you are doing something that is a high risk behaviour, and I don't want to see you killed. I don't want to have to go and tell your mother or your father that you are dead, right? So here's the ticket, right? Happy birthday. Okay. So we want to work on the philosophy of anywhere, anytime, anybody. Right? Anywhere, anytime. If you drink and drive, there will be police somewhere to catch you. Right? May not be today, maybe tomorrow, maybe the next day. I'm not going to tell you when or where, but there will be police somewhere, anywhere, anytime. And anybody. Right? VIP, no exception. Right? Doesn't matter who you know. So strategic planning, the SMART goals, which we'll talk about shortly, and your leadership. Right? It's good to be a leader, but the proof of leadership is in the action. What are you going to achieve when you get back to your country? What results are you going to get? Okay, had a good time here, went and had a look at tourist issues and listened and stayed awake most of the time. Okay, but what are you actually going to do? Are you going to achieve anything? So operational, right? We look at strategic issues, operational issues. Safety first, always. The number of police officers that are killed or injured doing routine duties on traffic is amazing around the world. A lot of countries won't declare how many, but there are many, many police officers killed or injured. Okay, a risk assessment. Do we do a risk assessment every time? We should do a risk assessment if we're walking up and down stairs. It's just automatic. You know, crossing the road's a risk assessment. Right? If I walk in front of the car, something's going to happen. It's easy. What if I do this? What are the consequences? So, what if I intercept somebody who's drunk and they start to be abusive? The risk assessment. So, what are my safety outcomes? Highly visible and active enforcement. It's useless providing enforcement if it's not highly visible. So, if you do enforcement and it's a secret and you give a ticket to one person, nobody knows what the ticket is for, then there is no benefit. Right? Benefit for one person. We don't have enough resources to go around with the ticket for everyone, so we need to get the message across to hundreds of thousands. So the rule, you check one person, you impact on one person. You put a checkpoint in team policing, you impact on a couple of hundred people. Flashing lights, you impact and all that sort of thing on a couple of thousand. Get the media there, you impact 10,000, right? Newspapers. Television, maybe 100,000, a million if you're lucky. Right? Repeat that frequently, then you constantly get that message. Okay, repeat it often, conspicuously fair. And not only fair, we can all be fair, but we need to be conspicuously fair, scrupulously fair. We need the people to know and understand that we are fair. I'm giving you this ticket because anybody in your circumstances who speeds is liable to a ticket. Right? This is fair. Doesn't matter who it is. I'm not favouring. I'm not bargaining. I'm not arguing. Okay. Well publicised. Standards, guidelines. Everybody, every police organisation should have standards for their police operations. Guidelines for drink driving. Guidelines for speed enforcement. Guidelines for helmet wearing checkpoints. Right? Guidelines for your operations. Standard operating procedures. Should have a list of those. They should be available to all police members and available to the general public as well. Because why are we doing this? Why do we set the checkpoints up like this? Because it's in our guidelines. It's there, it's printed. This is how we're told. This is what we've been trained to do. Right? How can you argue with it? Right? There it is. You can look at it. Any of our information is available on the internet. Our police standard operating procedures. Once upon a time it was secret, right? Because a lot of countries talk about national security if they find out how we do checkpoints or whatever. It's not a secret. We're doing checkpoints all the time. The more people we know who know about it, well, good value. Targeted enforcement operations, team policing and task force policing. So you need to look down that list and say, in your country, which ones of those are you going to adopt? The whole lot? Some? Maybe? Your choice. So the secret strategies, we have Superman here in a squirrel suit. He's going to tell you the answers to all the questions and the issues. We want to ensure that enforcement is based on evidence, intelligence, outcome focused and dynamically driven. It's about achieving results. And at the end of the day, with whatever we do, we want to evaluate and refine our strategies. It's all about continuous improvement, because you don't want people coming into your country all the time saying, you should do this, you should do that. You want to be able to say, yes, we know that. We've got the plan there. Every time we do an operation, we debrief it, we check it. We say, how can we improve it? How can we make it better tomorrow? I don't need somebody else from another country to tell me how to do it. This is our country, this is our culture, this is our religion, this is our environment, and we want to be able to provide a continuous improvement program that works well for our country. Your traffic enforcement must be planned and systematic. If I have 20 police officers and they are to provide some enforcement out here in Manila, I need to have a plan as a commander. I need to make sure that they are all actively involved in enforcement operations and they're working in a systematic way so that they are achieving results. If it's not planned and systematic, as a commander you have to ask yourself, why do I do it? What's the point? We might as well all stay here and have a cup of tea and not worry about it. Right? So there must be a strategy to work through the whole process. Our SMART goals, you have them written in your manual there. Specific. We want to make sure that what we're on about is going to be specific. It's short, sweet and specific. Measurable. Whatever the goal is, can we measure it? Can we find out whether we're successful? Can we achieve the results that we've agreed upon? Can we do that? It's no point saying we want to reduce our fatalities or injuries or whatever by 80% in 6 months. It'll never happen. Right? So you're better off to have achievable goals that you can deliver. And realistic, relevant, just make sure that they're important, but you challenge yourself. It's no good saying also we want to reduce our road fatalities or injuries by 2%. What's the point? They'll reduce by 2% anyway if you know, whatever. So you need to have something that's challengeable, 20, 30%. The political leaders are always very concerned when you say we will try and reduce road tolls by 50% or 30%. They get concerned, they say the voters, they will complain because we're either being too hard on them or we will not be able to deliver the results. I'd rather have a challenge target than not be challenged at all. What's the point in having something that's not challengeable? 5 or 10%, not challengeable. Right? 20%, stretching us. 30%, yes. So the United Nations Decade of Action has said 50% over 10 years by 2020. And the question you ask yourself now is, whoops, it's 2014. Some of the road tolls are still going up in your country. So first of all, you've got to get them to level off and then go down. So how can you reduce by 50%? Now you've only got 6 years left. Okay, it's not long and the years will go by. By the time you get a strategic plan, another 6 months goes by. So you've got to do things that actually have high impact and get results. And time-based, so 6 months, 12 months, whatever. And as an example, we want 10 police operations over 6 months to increase breath tests for drink driving by 10%, 20%, 30%, whatever. Doesn't matter. You determine the targets that you think are achievable and you'll find out that they will be. You'll be able to achieve it easy. Okay, so the specific challenge, what do you hope to achieve? So we look at the issue of for drink driving, which is common amongst all your countries. What do you want to achieve for drink driving? Or you may have speed as the major issue. It doesn't matter. So you pick out one of your major risk factors and you say, what do you hope to achieve? Right? So you won't be able to stop everybody drink driving, but you may be able to reduce the numbers of people that are drinking and driving, reducing the numbers of people who are speeding. So you look at your strategies for reduction of those issues. We always have to assess performance. So what actions are required to achieve these outcomes? how are you going to measure whether you're doing anything very productive in drink driving or speed enforcement? So you can look at your drink driving. What do the test results say? How many people are over the limit? 0.05, 0.08, 0.02 in the different countries. How many people are over the limit? What is the readings? So you need to collect the readings. If you stop 200 people, how many people, and do the test, what percentage of those are drink driving? What can you collect and what can you measure? So these are questions you need to ask yourself. Examples of monitoring actions. You want to do 10 checkpoints per month per district, test 1,000 drivers. So what if you only achieve 9? Doesn't matter. You've got somewhere. You've set your target. You've nearly achieved what you wanted to achieve. You wanted to test 1,000 extra drivers. You only get 850. It's not critical. It's not the end of the universe, so we just collect the statistics, do it honestly. Where you get into trouble is where the police officers start to say, okay, we want to do 1,000 tests, and then they say, yeah, we've done 1,000 tests. If you haven't done 1,000 tests, there's no point in self-reporting something that's not right. And you want 3 extra media messages per month, so you get those. That's again a good tick. So all these are good performance indicators for your programs. So success in police operations is not measured by the number of tickets, but more importantly because of how many lives are saved in the intervention program. So the end result, saving lives, saving crashes, saving injuries. How do you know if you're successful? What measures do you use? What success indicators or benchmarks do you use? And our aim is to increase enforcement. Automatically your road crashes come down. And that's relevant. In the back of your resource manual, there are examples all over the world. Increased enforcement in Korea for seatbelts, USA, UK. I've put many, many examples in there so that you can see when you actually increase enforcement, automatically your road fatalities and your road crashes will go down. So a lot of benefits, but it's very hard to appreciate, and it's very hard for the police officers to see that. Why evaluation is necessary, I'm sure I don't have to tell you this, that you know in any programs you do, you must evaluate. So you promote your intervention, you identify and avoid repeating mistakes, and you should use evaluation indicators. So same with policing, evaluation indicators. A model for drink driving enforcement, it's in your the PowerPoint workbook that you have. It's also in the resource manual, and it's just an issue for referral in the future so that you know that there's a strategy like a checklist so you can see what's important and how some ideas for measuring success. You might have other ideas, good, you can put them in. Developing a strategic plan, and this is what we'll do now for 2015, 2016, just for 1 year. I want you to think ahead for 1 year what you can do for your country. What things do you think are important and what we need to look at. So why have a road strategy? Because it's a guideline for your police officers to follow. You want to conform to the national strategy. You must conform to legislation, your national policies, based on your national and regional road trauma statistics. You're developing a road policing model for the future, for your road policing. And it's a strategic direction. Let's simplify the whole process. Right? We've talked about the theory behind it, so let's have a look at it. What we need is 5 or 6 key points. We must have an objective. We must have a current capability. What is your current capability now? What actions and activities do we want to do? What success indicators do we want to have? What opportunities do we want for increasing effectiveness? Timeline, obviously 12 months, and what resources do we need? So that's the process, step by step, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, going down, your objective is the first thing. You have a format in your workbook and you should be able to fill out the format. It's developing an action plan. Okay, your objective. Do you want it to be something similar to save lives, to reduce the incidence of road fatalities or whatever? So you need your objective. What's your current capability? If you've got teams of police working in that area at present, then you might have a strong capability. If you don't have teams of police working there, you may have to devise some new strategies. So what actions and activities can be undertaken to increase enforcement? So just to make it simple for you, if you pick on a high-risk topic in your area, so you don't have to cover drink driving, speed, enforcement, just pick one. What do you think is the most important topic or risk in your country? Overloading, speeding, enforcement, and you can work through this system. So this is developing an action plan, and we'll just limit it to one particular high-risk area. So what are your barriers? Bring your barriers forward from what you discussed before. So you've nearly finished the program, except you need to cover a couple of issues. What key success indicators? If you choose drink driving, what are you going to use as your successful indicators? What opportunities do you have for increasing effectiveness? So we've covered all these issues during the course of the day. I was asking you at different times to think about the issues, and you've been working with those as you go through. Resources and timeline for implementation. When are you going to start? 1st of January 2015? How long is it going to go? 12 months. Frequency, once a week for 12 months or whatever. Hit periods of the high risk areas. Many of you have festivals, water festivals, Songkran, Tet, whatever. So you have particular high risk areas. So what resources do you need to achieve your objectives? What opportunities do you have for increasing effectiveness? So we've covered all these issues during the course of the day. I was asking you at different times to think about the issues, and you've been working with those as you go through. Okay, resources and timeline for implementation. When are you going to start? 1st of January 2015? How long is it going to go? 12 months. Frequency, once a week for 12 months or whatever. Hit periods of the high risk areas. Many of you have festivals, water festivals, Songkran, Tet, whatever. So you have particular high risk areas. So what resources do you need to achieve your objectives? And key focus areas. So what are the areas you want to focus on? These are important from your perspective. What partnerships do you need to strengthen? So and what additional police resources do you need? So you can look through, use that as a template and work for 20 minutes on the issues about how we can improve and do this strategy plan, and then we'll close for the evening. Okay, key review points. Determine what you want to achieve. What do we want to achieve? Always saving of lives. How are you going to do it, and how are you going to achieve your objectives? Okay, you want to know how, which is the critical issue. Determine what your timelines are, when, why, what, how, when and where. Okay, so you do all that, and then you have a good plan.